Okay, good evening. Welcome to the November 9th, 2021 Commission on Disabilities meeting. If we could all pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all. Okay, if I could have Pauline, our Vice Chair, if she could do a roll call of the members, please.
Absolutely. Ralph DeChico, Chair.
Present.
Pauline Perno, Vice Chair, is here. Asma Abu-Fuda.
Present.
Thank you. Mario Gramanis.
Present.
Jason Barone.
Present.
And Enza Goodwin is via
Yeah, she's in the cloud.
other. She's
Yeah.
in the cloud.
She's other,
Hello,
yeah.
Enza. Okay, and we do
Okay.
still have our open spot.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. So we do have our quorum, perfect. That was item 1. Will be a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the October 12th meeting. I had sent that out to everyone along with tonight's agenda, so I sent a copy of the notes that Pauline was so graciously to type up for us. So if everybody had a chance to take a look at it, if there's any errors, please let us know so we can make corrections. And then if everything looks all right, we'll wait a minute or two to look it over if you haven't. And then someone would like to make a motion to approve and then someone to second it.
Motion to approve.
Motion
Jason,
to
was that you? Excuse me. That was Jason.
that was
Yeah.
Jason
Okay,
approved
thank
it,
you.
Yeah. Motion to approve.
and Asma second.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now, item number 3 is the CPAC October's recap and scheduled November events. That's on this month's agenda. And this was given to me by Enza. So CPAC's October recap was that they held its annual basic rights meeting in October. It was an informative night. There were about 10 participants who got to learn about the IEP process and had the opportunity to ask their questions. They also, CPAC wanted to thank MassPAC for hosting that event. Also, they had an event on November 4th, which was last week, for the Triangle Transition Program, was hosted, like I said, last week, November 4th. They're a disability service organization with partners with families to increase services. They looked forward to that meeting, and it was a great opportunity to learn about offerings that might benefit your child and family. I'm sure we'll find out next month on how that meeting went, since it just took place last week, and so I'll probably get some notes on that. So we'll find out some more information on that. As for December, I'll know at the beginning of December. Right now, I don't know if they have anything planned because they didn't have anything to give me for the calendar for December events. Any questions or anything on that? What I also have been doing with CPAC is anytime that they have any events, not only Asma is posting it on her Facebook page, but I'm also posting it on the Disabilities Facebook page. So anytime there's any events, I just post it right on there. So in case something comes up in December before our meeting, it will get posted on there. They've been pretty good at trying to also post things on the city's calendar on the City of Riviera's website. And also they're trying to get a lot more information out through the school liaisons, which is a great help for parents with children with needs and certain disabilities. So that's a great help. Item 4. This was a busy month for me with a bunch of meetings. I had a meeting on October 27th from the MLD, which is the Mass Office on Disability. It was Level Up to Equality quarterly webinar. It was Pathways to Employment. Disability inclusion is for everyone, every person, every family, and every community. What I'm going to do too, because I didn't have my second screen available, is I'm just going to pull it up on another screenshot that I have, just to give you a brief brief synopsis of what the meeting was about. It was hosted by the Mass Office of Disability in partnership with the Division of Apprenticeship Standards, which the acronym for them is DAS. And the webinar was in apprenticeships in the pathways of employment. It was informative and lively. They know that there's a number of registrants that weren't able to make that meeting, so they also sent me a link on it. If anybody is interested, they can contact Disabilities office at disabilities.org is the easiest email to contact, and I could send that link to them. It was, of course, that day that there was outages in a few different communities with internet and the weather. So a lot of communities couldn't jump in on that meeting. So they made sure that they had the video because it shows a lot of information from a lot of vocational rehabilitation partners for individual with disabilities, the Mass Rehabilitation Commission, and they basically were able to talk about and answer questions for apprenticeships for people with disabilities. So you not only learn a skill, at the same time you're getting paid for it, and you're finding a job at the same time. I'm not sure if Jason or Mario will be able to add anything to that, or if they know any information about that in their related fields, or know of anyone who's been involved in anything like that.
The only things I'm aware of that, unless it was MCB part of that meeting, do you know? I don't know.
It was DAS and just
Okay.
them.
Okay. So if MCB was not part of that, I'm surprised. I'll have to inquire. I'm very surprised they wouldn't want to be part of something like that.
Yeah, they were mentioned that they're one of them.
Yeah, they do offer on the MCB side. They do offer. There is a program where you can do internships through the state and other possibilities, and then they have also the project search program. So those lead to other possibilities as well. So there is some focus there, but and then the state, of course, does their own internships, which I've seen things for. So, and then student interns and co-ops. So they do things all the time. So there is things to grab onto, but they do want those with disabilities, and we are working on that from our division.
If bringing some of that to like Revere High School into like the learning commons on an evening in conjunction with CPAC, I mean, how many parents and how many families actually know about all of this?
I think that's what Triangle, is an outreach for. Am I right, Asma?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
You know?
right. Yeah.
That's what the Triangle Transition Program is an agency that does that for students that are in the high school.
Right, but have they been to Revere High School?
Yeah, that's the one that they had the meeting in November. They're trying to become
November 4.
Yeah. So they're trying to bring Revere on as one of the communities that they can serve.
All right.
Yeah.
I was just, I don't hear about a lot of the programs. I hear about what we talk about, but in the general scope of thing, I only get pieces of the high school information.
Right.
Is wondering how, how that was brought out and how well attended it was, or if they're planning on doing this like on an occasion or quarterly, or, as the school year progresses for like those kids that are upcoming seniors and going to graduate, maybe instead of waiting until May to get them going.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's a good question maybe we'll find out some information in December from the meeting that they had last week. They said that there was 10 participants that went to it.
Right.
Oh, wait a minute. No, there's 10 to the basic rights meeting. So we'll know how many people went for the November 4th. Yeah, that was the basic right meeting in October. So we'll know more information about how that Triangle Transition program hosted event went at our next meeting. So we'll be able to get some more.
Triangle office that we deal with.
No,
Like,
because Revere's
or-
not part of it, and that's what they're trying to do.
Oh,
They're trying,
okay.
Revere's trying to become a partner with them. Yeah, we're
Got it.
not one of the communities that they serve.
I know when I was out in the West Suburban, Triangle was very much a part of Framingham.
Mhm.
Not necessarily the other communities, but Framingham. That's
Yeah.
why it was
Yeah, I think this is the starting point of trying to bring Triangle in.
okay. Great.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, I think this is the first actually meeting the host in Revere, yes?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
this was the
yeah.
first time, yeah.
Yes,
This was,
yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
Next, also, item number 5, I had another meeting on the same day, October 27th. It was the MBTA bus network redesign meeting. And there was several presenters, and they were discussing the whole redesign network of buses. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to incorporate different types of routes, combining routes. And I stated one point on it, especially for a community like Revere. What they're trying to do is they're trying to get more people to go from the bus to the trains, but in a way that it's going to be less direct routes from a bus to the train. There's going to be more transfers. And I said, for people with disabilities, that's not really cumbersome or good, because people with disabilities, it's a lot of work to be going on from one bus, then getting off of one bus, then having to go to get onto another bus and getting to the train. Because they asked, do you want more frequent transfers going to train stations, or do you want less frequencies direct and going from bus to train? My feeling was I'd rather have less buses that went direct to the train instead of transfers, because sometimes the distance where you had to get off from one bus to another bus was several hundred feet or greater. And for different people with different types of disabilities, whether they're visually impaired, whether mobility issues, not to encounter bad weather, that causes issues for people with disabilities. So I was on the side, and I voiced my concern that I'd rather have less frequent buses, but more direct, going right from one bus to the trains. I know in a perfect world, you'd love to have best of both worlds, more buses direct to the trains. But if it was a choice of more frequency, but they had to have transfers, or less frequency with direct, I'd rather have less frequency with direct from bus to train. So that was one of the responses that I had given. I spoke on that. Also, from different areas, because of our diverse population and our social justice and our economy, it's more of more sustainability if it's a direct going from a bus to a train, especially in our area. So I wanted to, open that up to see if anyone has any opinions on that, or, if my opinion sounded pretty rational.
No, it definitely sounds rational, Ralph. I mean, there's the only way that works with transfers, if they're on, basically, if you were getting two buses in the same direction, let's say that there was another bus that came not too far behind that one, and
Right.
you got there. But if it's not, then I get your point. But also keeping in mind that transfers, that's more issue of time, risk
Exactly.
of things breaking, and for people with disabilities, that could add a lot to a commute. Just like when they used to do transfers for the paratransit, an example where I go to Quincy every day, okay, and you go to Ruggles and sit, and if they're not on time, same with buses, now you've got a problem. And if you miss a train, and then remember where we are, we're not as direct because we're on that blue, which then,
Right.
because we don't connect right to the red. So
Exactly.
yeah, the more, and until they fix that part, I mean, it doesn't matter what you do, but I like your thought. That makes, because then distance, what if this area is not safe to walk? I mean, as much as we'd like to think it is, I mean, that'd be like putting somebody on Route 1 and say, here, get off the bus and get on the next bus. Just not
Correct.
realistic.
Well, that, I was just going to add on to that, Jason. You brought up a good point, issues of time and safety. Well, the other thing is, where would these transfers happen? And if you're talking about, offloading one bus to get on potentially another bus, where are you going to put these transfer places? Because, you look at, we now have a designated bus lane on Broadway. So that has cut down on the traffic that's sitting in the sides, but it's also increased the traffic on the roadways. So if you're looking at adding transfers, from bus to bus, then to the train station, where are we thinking about putting these? Did anyone have any opinion on that?
It's not, well, the transfer, well, it wouldn't relatively be a transfer station. It could just be a transfer from one bus to another bus.
Right, but where?
To combine routes.
No, I
Basically.
understand. Okay,
So
I understand.
basically, so if you're looking at like Beach Street and Park Ave,
Right.
Broadway, so there wouldn't be a bus, just to say, there wouldn't be a bus going down to Maverick, just to say anymore. So you would
Right.
have to get off on Central Ave, and then you would have to walk to Park Ave to get a bus to go to Wellington.
Oh,
To
no,
say.
that's not going to work. That's not going to work.
So that's transfers, to go
Yeah.
or whatever. That you're trying to combine so that there would be more transfers to get to one. So they would combine routes and have a transfer to get to one central location.
That
Yeah,
makes
doesn't-
no amount of sense, especially given the amount of traffic that is now.
Right.
I mean, I utilize the beach in 1A in the morning and afternoon, actually all day. I'm
Right.
on both of those roadways. And with
Right.
the amount of traffic there, and then you add in Broadway onto it, the amount of time, as you said, Jason, this is an issue of time. You're looking
Right.
at someone having to increase their commute, whether it's for a school, whether it's for a job, whether it's for an appointment, whether it's a doctor's appointment or taxes to be done. You're looking at having to add in minimally half an hour each way, and that's minimal. And
Right.
then you have to, what happens when it does become inclement weather? We're looking
Right.
at adding in that piece of it too.
Right.
And so, I just don't see the rationale, but then again,
The other issue too is because of personnel. They don't have
Right.
enough personnel, and they're hoping that changes. So they're trying to get some callbacks back, and they don't have enough personnel to cover all the routes right now. And they have
No.
new personnel that don't know the routes. And I know for a fact some of these new drivers are missing stops because they're not familiar with the area.
that's what we're up against here. They go right past a designated spot, and
Right.
Yeah, but you can't
And-
see it. I mean, they can't see the color of the sign, Ralph. You're
Yeah.
honestly telling me that.
Well, it's not that they're
I-
missing a sign. I'll give you an example. One of our coworkers, Asma, noticed that they missed the whole housing development and didn't go into the housing development with the bus. They just went straight. They're not knowing the routes.
Wow. So so it's not just the signage, which should be
Right.
part of that. What about
Yeah.
all right. John, you're reverbing. The other side of that being said, it's also an issue of, hold on, it's too much. You can't. Hold on 1 second. I was getting too much reverb here. It's also a matter of the safety, but I'm also thinking that they need to start looking at why aren't they pushing harder to get the blue line extended. We need to get people off the bus because buses don't sustain as long, they don't last as long, and
Right.
they're more expensive to pull, because when a bus goes out of service, you're talking half a day to a whole day because just to drop the engine in itself to look at it, versus the trains, you can sustain that whole one car alone
Right.
lasts about 30 years. So I can't see their logic in this. I think they're too focused on the bus, and Revere in that whole area, the whole North Shore kind of gets, I don't know, left aside is what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
My own thought in that. But I like your thought, Rob. I think that makes a valid point.
Oh,
No.
I agree.
You know,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
tie into all that. I'm just looking at the long-term aspect, and people are too focused on a bus. I mean, they last maybe 12 years, and the cost of that bus is astronomical to maintain versus the rail car and tracks once they're laid, you know, because you have longer job sustainability out of that too. So I mean, I did a lot of my homework, so that's how I'm able to make that statement. But
Yeah.
I mean, I would have loved it. I mean, they probably don't like me because I'll bring all that stuff up. But
Yeah.
you know, I'm concerned with, you know, I'm looking at, I want us to get the most out of this, because my fear is that the North Shore is kind of left aside when it comes to that, and it's the blue line kind of gets cut off. So that's what I'm thinking, that, you know, as much as we like to bring all these buses in, we need to find a way to do more direct, unless you're going to do BRT. That's the only way around that. And even that is not, I don't know, you see things with the Silver Line are an issue. So, you know, when the equipment breaks and stuff, and then you got to think of the person with the wheelchair when that breaks, you know, and the lift breaks or other things happen on it, now you've got another problem. So
Right.
there are a few aspects. But I liked what you basically brought up, which is the initial point, and that's the amount of feet.
Right.
But and then she brought up a good point about the traffic, which people don't think about that.
Exactly.
They
Yeah.
need to start thinking about it, because it's at a point where a commute that should be 15 minutes or even 20 is now turning into 45, upwards of an
To an
hour.
hour. Exactly.
Yeah, and that's provided that you get direct. I mean,
Right.
I go from Quincy, and that can be, if everything goes well.
And the
You
weather
can-
agrees with you.
Yeah,
Right.
of course. Well, of course, but 12 minutes to 30 minutes, and that's if everything goes well. Things don't go well, and then adding inclement weather. But let's just things just don't go well, even traffic wise, because you have fender benders all the time. So you're talking an hour, you know, and if you have transfers in there, now you're complicating that past outside of that.
Right.
And then if you miss, what if one bus misses the other? Now, what about that? So it's kind of like when you miss your plane. If you miss it because they don't connect in time.
You got a
You know.
long layover.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly it.
And
Unless
then
they
if you miss it in the inclement weather, that's even worse, especially not only for a person with disability, but a regular person too. And, you know, the
Right.
weather's bad and things like that. That's why
ice and snow, and you know, yeah. And what if they're not? What if they're in the street versus because
Right.
they don't always do the sidewalks correctly, you know, or the snowbanks get too high.
Right.
Oh, Jason, I
people-
don't know where you are living that you experienced that.
Yeah.
Oh, it happens plenty. Trust me.
I know.
Yeah, I've watched plenty of it. When I lived in Georgia, we had a lot of ice and snow. So when that hit, they would shut down, and you would have skating from street to street.
Fun. Maybe we should try that.
Oh yeah, that would be. Oh yeah, I could see that on Route 1 right now. That'd be a trip. But they're just so solid that, I mean, people don't have all the proper equipment, and so they're trying to break up ice with shovels, and that's just it's just comical.
Anybody else have anything else they wanted to add to that?
No, but just to say, my husband was at City Hall today, and somebody was making commentary about the redesign meeting that happened. He only overheard that it was there were a lot of questions that remained unanswered
For the bus redesign.
for the bus redesign.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was my husband has no idea who it was. He just happened to be at City Hall for something else and overheard a conversation. So
Yeah.
I mean, people are talking about it and people are thinking,
Yeah.
which is a good, because think before things get put into play,
Exactly.
and then figure out that not really the best design.
Right.
So
Okay. Now I made an error. I skipped over item number 2, so please forgive me. Item number 2 was an update and next steps from our October meeting. So I'm going to go back to that if no one minds. And what we had carried over was the letter that was going to be created by Jason and Mario, and was going to be sent to Pauline to brush up. And Pauline had brushed up on it, and I had put it on our letterhead, and I attached it in the email that I sent to everybody with the agendas, and hopefully everybody got a chance to take a look at it. And I wanted to see if anyone wants any changes to it. I've attached all our names to it. and who it's going to be addressed to. And I will email it to the appropriate departments that are on that. We don't have to mention, where it's going to go, but is everything that we wanted included in this email? Any changes in this letter? Anything?
Just
That-
one thing.
Mhm.
The word aforementioned is one word, so you gotta put the mentioned back with the A4. That's one word.
And the spell check did that.
Aha. Okay, then leave it that way.
I'll go back in and look at, yeah, everything was done, spell checked it. What paragraph is it?
1, 2. The second one, last line.
Any change you think, Mario, or you think it was okay?
I think it's fine.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it's good, yeah.
Trying to find it. Oh, I see it. Yeah, I see it right now. Okay. And it was okay on the letterhead how I did it.
As one word, but if
Okay.
you can leave it either way. I think it's
I'll-
one of those that you can do either way.
Okay.
But I tried to, everything that Mario and Jason gave me, I tried to really just get it in there that, we have some real significant things that need to be discussed. So,
All right. So what I'll do is I will get this to the appropriate departments that are on here. Actually, yeah. Yeah. And I will send that out to them, and I can ask them if they, with it in the email, I'll ask them to also if they want to attend next month's commission meeting to address any of these concerns. That will be in the body of the email, and I'll say, please see the attached letter, and if you be able to attend our next Commission on Disabilities meeting to address any of these issues. That
Great.
sounds, can I have a motion to accept the letter as written and to send it?
Motion to accept.
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion to
Second.
Perfect. Okay,
goodness.
so so thank you. Okay, sorry for missing that on it. I just had too many papers out over here.
All right.
Next, item number 6 was CODA Commission on Disabilities Alliance monthly Zoom meeting, which was on last Thursday, November 3rd. I'm going to go back to my trusty screenshot here along with notes that I have just in case. A couple of cities and towns had brought up some issues, and I know Pauline mentioned some. Some cities and towns talked about snow removal. Residents bring up concerns on that. I mentioned that the city of Revere does have a snow angel policy program. There's about a 3 or 4 year waiting list for that, unfortunately. They also mentioned some cities that, such as Cambridge, is having a soft opening for a universally designed playground on November 13th. The city of Revere is in the works of doing an all-inclusive playground at Ambrose Park. They're in the beginning stages of getting that underway. Also, there is one on the horizons at the HYM project at Suffolk Downs that I had worked on with Bob O'Brien, who used to be in charge of the city's community planning and development, which is now Tech Lang is now in charge. So they have it in their proposals that we were interested in. I believe it is in their plan scheme to build an all-inclusive playground somewhere located in that project. So not only Revere, but also East Boston families and children with disabilities will be able to have full access and use of that playground. Another item that came up at that meeting is what to do when there's a clear AAB violation and how to file a complaint. Everybody knows what AAB stands for, an Architectural Access Board violation. And that's, how the Architectural Access Board needs to be contacted if a development is being proposed or whatnot. So when a development is being proposed, if they need to file any amendments or any changes that do not fit the Architectural Access Board for accommodations, they have to file for an amendment. And that comes, the letter goes to them, and it also comes to the Commission on Disabilities. So I know about any of those projects that are going on. So if there's any grievance or any issues that I feel as an issue, or anywhere else in the city, the building department or whatnot, that they know how to file with the Architectural Access Board. So that was mentioned by a couple of cities and towns. Another city mentioned that they're setting aside units in a housing development for participants in certain programs, and what options might be for people who are opposed to specific ways it's being done. I guess they were trying to do some types of buildings. They were trying to do some dwellings. I want to say apartments, some dwellings for people with disabilities, but they were trying to do it in such a way to segregate that they weren't going to be in the same area, and they were going to be set in a different location. So they were trying to ask some questions on that, to find ways on how they can handle that so that did not get done. Also, there is this, I don't want to get wrong, so I'm going to read it right off here. Let me try and get it. There is, there's a couple of bills that are going to be coming up in the legislature, and trying to find where it is. I may have to pop this up on my computer to get it. Hold on one second. I'm going to go away for just 1 second, but I'm not leaving you.
Okay.
Got to find my email. Okay, so there are several hearings on bills relevant to people with disabilities that happened today. What they were was House Bill 1256, which will ensure that people with disabilities in Massachusetts cannot be denied treatment on the basis of disabilities, and that their lives will not be devalued through the use of discriminatory measures or metrics. There was also another House Bill 1711 and Senate Bill 1083, which would require courts to determine if a parent's disability causes actual harm to a child based on evidence, not assumptions. There was also another House Bill 1200 and Senate Bill 637, which among other things would reduce the need of repetitive prior authorizations for long-term treatments. So those were bills that came up today. So that I just wanted to mention everything to everyone, and I didn't want to get the bill numbers wrong. Pauline, if you want, I could just forward that email to
Yeah,
you.
please do. I think I have them all, but just in case.
Yeah, that's why
Thank
I didn't want to write it down wrong. So I wanted to pop up the email just to do
Thank
that.
you.
So there's a lot going on through advocacies for people with disabilities. So I just wanted to let everyone be made aware of that. So hopefully that's good news. People are working on different things. So I'm hoping that everybody.
That's for long-term care, Ralph. Is that what I understand? I just want to make sure I understood that.
Let me go back to it. Yes,
That's right.
long-term. Yeah. Long-term treatments. Yeah, long-term treatments. Yes. So that would be, that probably is a widening of the gamut for anything for someone with long-term disabilities, long-term illnesses and treatments, so they don't have to keep getting prior authorizations.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because that's irritating after a while.
Yeah.
It's exhausting.
Yes.
I mean, once or twice, I could see when it's something new, but
Right.
they do that with pills too a lot of times.
Right.
And if questions, and sometimes people, they have no choice. They've tried other things. What do you do? And it's just exhausting after a while. I mean, you go to the bar.
Even if they put it on a renewal system versus an every time,
Right.
just to maintain that checks and balances, that would even be better. But I mean, I personally, I hope that this clears. It would be a huge breakthrough.
They'll always find a way to not do that. They're always trying to
Oh,
save money. You know that.
I do. You're right.
It's
I do.
unfortunate because everybody that's disabled pays for it, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
There's also one more thing that's going on too, that DPC, which is the policy consortium, which a lot of the members of CODA belong to, and the BCIL are working on a response to, is CVS has escalated a court case in the Supreme Court that if it's successful, it have a far-reaching impacts of Section 504 in the ADA. So
What does CVS want with that? What's their goal?
I think I got another email on it about that. Let me see if I have that. I think that just came today. Let me see if I have it in here. It may have to do with working in the working environment.
It's a tough place to work. It's a nice place, but tough place to work.
CVS,
Like a CVS.
Trying to gut disability rights. Okay, CVS claims a strong commitment to the disability. Earlier this year, they put out a statement they honored the 31st anniversary, but this December was hearing arguments, CVS versus Doe, which CVS is fighting to gut the protections of disabled people across the country. Let's see. CVS versus Doe is a case brought by HIV positive people against CVS. CVS requires that plaintiffs who have primary insurance coverage through CVS to use as a specialty medication program. The plaintiffs want CVS to allow them to opt out of the prescription of the program because they're having problems getting their medications and the information they need from qualified pharmacists. CVS is arguing their program is lawful and that Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act, a law that prohibits discrimination on the basis of disability, does not cover situations where discrimination is unintentional. But the disability community knows all too well that not all discrimination is intentional. CVS is arguing that Section 504 does not cover disparate impact discrimination. If CVS is successful, the Supreme Court will immediately gut many of the disability right protection community has fought hard to secure. The case is about Section 504, but a ruling for CVS would also go beyond Section 504. A ruling for CVS would also impact our protections under Section 1557 of Affordable Care Act, which prohibits discrimination, covered health programs or activities, and could quickly threaten the ADA as well. Parts of the ADA are based on 504 rules that CVS is asking the court to find illegal.
That would be detrimental. I mean, you'd be talking about over 30 years worth of work to get to even to that point. Yeah. I mean, I remember the days they used to give us blankets on planes and stuff. I mean, it was just.
Hope that information helped you. I try and keep everything.
Yeah, there's
so much. It's been a busy couple of weeks. My head is spinning.
I believe you, Ralph. I mean, we're in the same boat. I mean, we just, I get it. Even with the house stuff, and just everything. And when it rains, it pours. So you're just sitting there going, "What do I do?" But I can't even believe that they would even think of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's if you get a good pharmacist, it works out great. And I have no issues with CVS, but I don't know. That concerns me. Because I can just see the implications. I mean, I've had companies complain. People and somebody actually did say to me, and I've never forgotten it, well, why should a company be forced to, be set up for ADA? And I said, well, why? So then they can't patron that place. Well, it should be up to the business. I said, well, if that's true, then that means they lose options to patronize. How fair is that? Because you don't want to be cooperative. you know, it just seems, I don't know. I can see the reaching implications of that. So I hope they lose. CVS, that's all we need. I mean,
Open up a can of worms is what will happen.
oh, of course.
Yeah.
But money always talks. We know that.
So you got two advocates fighting against it. So that's real good.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Anybody else want mention anything else on that, or is it okay to move on to item number 7?
Move on. Yeah.
Okay. Item number 7, the Revere City Council had a public hearing last evening on creating an ordinance to establish regulations of the sale and use of sustainable foodware in packaging. How this public hearing came about last month, there was a motion to create this ordinance by 2 city councilors that I went up and spoke against it for one item in it, and I don't know if anybody was able to see it. So what it basically is they want to basically regulations and not allow styrene and styrofoam disposable utensils, and also included in that were straws. And back in November of 2019, there was also a push to ban straws that I had gone up to the council back then with all kinds of information why plastic straws cannot be banned. A couple of states and cities and towns that did ban them had repealed that ban for the reasons of people with disabilities do need plastic straws. Not only children with disabilities on the autism spectrum, but more importantly them because of the texture, and they cannot use metal straws or reusable straws because of the sensories and whatnot and different things. There's been all kinds of studies done on it in other countries. I had brought in all information back then and gave them all a packet on all the studies and whatnot on that. But this was now put into this ordinance, and I was highly against it. And they said that it was going to be taken out. But in the paper article for the hearing last night, it was still in it. So of course I went up last night, and they probably, I don't know if they were happy or not happy to see me, but when they seen I had this, they told me that this was the incorrect form that was supposed to be in the paper. But I said, not only do I want it to not say straws, I want it to say excluding straws in it. This excludes straws, not take out the word straws. I wanted to say the words excluding straws. And not only this way, they can still be sold in stores, they can still be used in restaurants. And I don't want it to be an exception that restaurants can have them, because it shouldn't be that a person with a disability should have to ask for a straw, because that's being discriminatory. And I mentioned that last night at the council meeting. I don't know if anybody was able to watch the council meeting last night, but I advocated on the behalf of all people with disabilities that need straws. There's not only people with disabilities that need reusable straws, but there's seniors that need reusable straws. And a lot of people will make the case that you can use the metal straws, you can use the washable straws, you can use paper straws, but you can't. There's different reasons why different types of people cannot use them. We're not saying that restaurants have to give out the straws to everybody, but they need to have them there, and they need to offer them if anybody wants a straw, because a person shouldn't need to ask for a straw, because that will make them feel like they're an outcast. And it's very discriminatory. So hopefully I advocated on everyone's behalf, and we're in full agreement for that. And if anybody has any opinions, please feel free to share them now. And I'm open to anyone's comments on that.
I would have loved to see the look on their face.
Yeah, that would have been, yeah, would have been interesting.
Mario said the same thing.
Yeah.
Interesting. Like, this is just, I mean, I don't understand. It's almost like we need somebody with disabilities sitting on the sides of these different areas. And I don't mean just there. It's, I don't know, it's not.
No, I understand for the environment, but you have to look at it on both ends of the spectrum. This would be a detriment for people with disabilities. The other thing is, it's not the people with disabilities that are throwing these straws all over the place.
Right.
It's able-bodied people
Of course.
that are throwing them everywhere.
Yeah.
So
Right, well, people-
there needs to be a balance, and there needs to be something else done. Whereas instead of just banning everything,
Sure. Well, just to put, I mean, even if people just would put their trash away, but that's why the plastic bag thing went away. Now you got to pay in a lot of places for bags. You know, you go and it's like, really? You know, I mean, it creates other issues long term too. But you're right about the embarrassment piece. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I think people go too far one way or the other. And if people would just pick up their trash or recycle things, I remember the years when you couldn't even recycle in Massachusetts.
Right.
I mean, it's just, I don't know. You brought up a valid point though, Ralph. I mean, it's definitely I mean, I don't know. We seem to go too far. I mean, we end up not thinking all the way through.
Right. Anyone else share any comments or anything on that? No? Okay. Item number 8 was Commissioner Billy's member vacancy. I did speak to an aide in the mayor's office, and they are working on. They do have a couple people that have contacted them, so they, I guess, they're trying to set up interviews with them to talk to them. So hopefully, I should hear something in the near future for that.
Excellent.
Item number 9 is commission members' late items. I know Asma will have something, but I have one thing that that I neglected to put on the agenda when I did it because I forgot I had another meeting today that I wanted to tell everyone about. And I'll pull this up right now. I had a meeting. If it will open up for me. I had a meeting today with the Massachusetts Office on Disability, which was in conjunction with the Attorney General's office, and it was a level up for equity. It was a level up equity quarterly webinar, and it was pathways for employment. Like I said, it was hosted by the MOD in partnership with Division of Apprentice Standards at the DAS, not the Attorney General's office. I misspoke. So this webinar was also an apprenticeship to Pathways Employment. Hold on one second. It's the wrong one. That was the wrong one. My bad. I had too many windows open here. Today was. Yeah, it was with the Massachusetts Office of Disability and the Attorney General's office for training on how to best make open meetings accessible to all. I told you it's been a long couple of weeks. There's too many meetings jumbling all together here. This was it was a discussion that open meetings are a cornerstone for municipal governance, and it is important that these meetings become accessible to all. The Massachusetts Office of Disability and the Office of the Attorney General provided municipal officials with an overview of disability rights and access requirements, as well as best practices for ensuring that meetings are accessible both to board and committee members and to members of the public. The things that we were told and learned today was the understanding of municipals' obligations under the ADA and how to make open meetings accessible to people with disabilities. And we were able to find and learn more resources to prove access in our municipality. So that was a meeting I had today. They also sent me a PowerPoint on that meeting. So if any members are interested on that, please feel free to let me know. And I have that. And I'm going to start assigning some of you to go to some of these meetings so you can learn some of these valuable lessons. They're very informative. It's been kind of a busy month. I think they try and get a lot of information out there, a lot of these places in October and November. I've had a lot of meetings that have been overlapping. I know Asma's seen it when she comes in the office. Sometimes I have two or three laptops open with more than one meeting going at the same time. And it's fun. The good part
Yes,
is a
yeah,
lot of
the
them are
whole day.
recorded, so I can go back and watch them. So if anybody has any questions on that. If not, I'm going to move on to Asma because she has something that she wants to mention that we weren't able to put on the agenda because I neglected to put it on. So
Yeah, thank you, Ralph. So I want to say that I'm running an Arabic weekend school for kids from 4 to 12 years old. And I'm glad to mention that we open a classroom for kids with special needs to learn Arabic. And actually the classes run very well. So I'm wondering if the city have any space to open for the kids with special need from different nationality so they can learn their native language.
okay.
Yeah, so
So yeah, so that's another thing too. We can talk to you could probably bring this up to CPAC too. And maybe send an email to CPAC about it or join them at their next meeting and see if they can help with that too, because they might be able, this might be a program that they may want to offer, or if it's on the weekend or find a space that it can be done.
yeah,
You know?
because some of the Spanish speaker actually they are looking for something like that for their children, especially with
Yeah.
a special need, to learn them, to teach them actually their native language.
Right.
Yeah.
Perfect. No, that sounds like a good idea. How many students do you have enrolled in it right now in the special needs one?
So I have 12 students, 6 in Saturday and the other 6 on Sunday.
For special needs or just for?
No, for special. I have almost 100 students in the weekend, but
Oh, wow.
12 of them, with a special needs. So I decided to open only a classroom for them, and
Right.
and actually the teacher is looked for their IEP, what they need, which the best way to teach them the Arabic.
Oh, great. No, thank you.
How
That's
nice.
excellent.
Yeah, thank you.
And so you have somebody who speaks Spanish already that's ready to do the same thing in Spanish?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, she's
Perfect.
asking me if we can have this in Revere, and I told her we need only the space, and I am happy to manage this actually.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. All right. But we'll see if anybody has any ideas. They can contact the Disabilities at disabilities.org, and then I can forward their information to you on that. Okay.
Thank
Anyone
you.
else have anything else that they want to add?
Yeah, I think to piggyback off of your employment stuff, Ralph. And I was thinking of this, and I never really thought about it till somebody brought it up to me. Massachusetts is behind when you look at the Randolph-Shepard program, correct? You're familiar? No. Okay, so the Randolph-Shepard program was designed for blind folks to operate their own businesses and stuff like that, from stands to cafeterias to vending setups and all that stuff. Okay, one of the things that a lot of states like Connecticut did that Mass didn't do, are where you can, when you have those type of businesses for blind folks, it's if you go contact the Mass Commission on the Blind there, Ralph, MCB, they'll explain it to you, but it's under their program. They have a whole thing for it. And one of the things that they don't have under the law, and we might want to have that fixed, is under Mass, they're not required to offer state buildings or even the T's spaces where they have the stores and stuff to the people with disabilities first.
Okay.
Which is very surprising. And they're like, oh, this is a quasi-government, they can do what they want. I'm like, yeah, but that's not acceptable because you're shutting out areas, because they can only, in Mass, they're only required to do the federal side of buildings. But that limits options where there might be more footprint or foot traffic. You know what I mean? Because and I think the reason the TIA particularly got out of it was because they're like, well, we want rent money, but that's not the way life works. So I'm just looking at something that's a law that we might want to look into to try to put, just thinking ahead, you know what I mean? Because I can see the
Send me an
cut.
email with that information.
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, we can talk about that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, unless that's something, yeah, send me an email on it and then I'll take a look at it. And maybe that's something that you can research more on and we can, what I want to try and do is every month we'll have somebody dig into different avenues of different things.
Mhm.
Programs and things like that. So you send me that email and then I'll get right back to you. Maybe we can have you research and dig into it for more and figure out where we want to go from it with it.
Okay, you got it.
That sound good, Pauline?
It does.
Okay. Anyone else have anything? All right. I don't see item number 10 was residents' concerns, issues, questions, and open forum. I don't have any that was sent in. So I'm going to move over to item number 11. And since I've been doing all the talking, I'm going to have Pauline read this one.
Sure thing. So item number 11 is our reminder. The Commission on Disabilities due to COVID-19 and the safety of all residents is trying to limit in-person appointments due to the unavailability and use at our present office location. Residents can speak to staff from our 311 Constituent Service Center Monday through Friday when you call our office at 781-286-8267. They will be able to answer most of your questions, but if they are unable or if you would like a call back from our office, please ask to be transferred to the Disabilities Office's voicemail and someone will get back to you as soon as possible. As always, please do let us know if you would like something discussed or brought up and added to our monthly meeting agenda. You can let us know if you would like to speak on any issue or concern. The Commission is here to help and assist all of the disabled residents and families of Revere. Our next meeting via Zoom will be Tuesday, December 14th at 6 p.m.
Okay. Before I have ask for a motion to adjourn, just wanted to wish everyone and their families a happy Thanksgiving. Happy and safe Thanksgiving, the end of this month. Please still stay safe. And if I could have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Yeah.
And someone second it?
Motion.
Okay, so Jason made the motion to adjourn and Asima seconded it.
Okay.
All right, thank you so much and have a good night now.
Thank
too.
you.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.